Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hammer Territory podcast. This is episode 179. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you quite deep into the night on a Thursday evening into Friday morning. And I'm joined, as always, by Scott Coleman. Scott, we should say this at the top of the show. This is the first time we've ever done this. We're trying to go live. This is not going to be a regular occurrence. Nobody get excited. We're just testing it a little bit. And we thought, hey, when would be a better time than at 1:20 a.m. Eastern? How are you, sir?
Hello, Brad. I don't know if our decision-making tonight was the smartest to launch a live show for the first time in the history of the Hammer Territory podcast after an 11-hour, Freudian slip, an 11-inning, 11-hour baseball game. Thank God the Braves won, or this might have been a 9-minute show where we both said bad words and signed off. But hey, a win is a win. The Braves found a way to win. It was a crazy game that quite literally had everything, and thank God we can finally say they have won their first series of the season.
That's right. And look, we should say at the top of the show, we are part of Foul Territory as a network. We are Hammer Territory. We cover the Braves all year round. We're very busy on this podcast, and that includes shows already this week. In fact, back-to-back days, our colleagues Stephen Tolbert and Sean Coleman did shows after the first two games of the series. You and I talked on Sunday, et cetera, et cetera. We were joking about this, especially our guy Sean, that I personally have not recorded after a win this season until today. So that was well-timed. We were not planning on this being at 1:20, but because of the aforementioned Freudian slip of an 11-hour game, it wasn't quite 11 hours, but it was close. There was like an almost 3-hour rain delay. If anybody missed this game, can't imagine you did, or wish you wouldn't know what happened by now. But it was a very long rain delay, which caused Schwellenbach to leave the game a little bit earlier than he might have because he had a pretty low pitch count, all these things. It was tied. There was all kinds of machinations that we'll go through in just a little bit. But look, let's start broadly positive, right? It was a lot of fun at the end of the game tonight, to be very clear. I'll start here. This is actually funny. You mentioned it too without us talking about this. I was uncontrollably laughing at the horn being played for literally like a minute straight. Like whoever just fell on the loudspeaker horn at Truist Park at the end of the game. It was fitting given the heroics from first Austin Riley and then Marcell Ozuna walking it off. But that was incredible. And look, the Braves won the series, and the Braves won it wasn't always pretty, but they won the homestand too. I mean, they were 3-2 on the homestand, and we did say before they came home that all they had to do was kind of win the homestand. We didn't think it was going to be 5 games, but we thought it was going to be 6 games, all that stuff. But pretty good vibes considering how low the vibes were, 30 minutes ago.
Oh, the vibe change in the 11th inning tonight. Just to recap it quickly, you talk about potentially going from losing on a bases-loaded walk when you were a pitch away to 2 different batters. And even though Suarez walked in 1 run, the Braves, they thank God. Austin Riley came up, smacked a double into the gap, which was really good to see. A guy who's really struggled this year. And then Marcell Ozuna, who has been the one and only constant in this lineup since day one, just launched a ball. I would love to know if anybody actually recovered that ball in left field, because I think pretty much everybody had moved closer to home plate for the 400 people who were in attendance. But hey, that was awesome. It was just one of those nights. And the game wrapped, I think, at 1:15 a.m. or something crazy like that. The horn, that hockey horn, is going strong. I would love to know what that sounds like in the apartment complexes across the street from Truist.
Yeah,
they might have thought something catastrophic had happened. And it was, nope, the Braves won a baseball game at 1 a.m. But yeah, from a vibes perspective, you win a game. It was maybe not a fun game. There was a lot of frustration for the 95% of it. But again, a win is a win, and the Braves hopefully can use this night to leapfrog them and get them going again the way we thought they were going to.
absolutely. And look, we are aware the Braves are 3-9. We get it. I already saw a response like, "Oh, the Braves are 3-9." Look, we get it, guys. Like it's not been great so far. We understand, but they just beat the Phillies in a series, and that's a jumping off point perhaps for the future. And look, they still can't score. We'll get into this in a second, but they came into tonight with the second fewest runs in baseball. They had 34 runs in the first 11 games. That's really bad, especially when they had a 10-run game in there. So you can do the math on that. And then they proceeded to score 1 run tonight in the first 10 innings and wasted all kinds of opportunities. I have a note here to myself that Ozuna is still the only regular in the lineup with an OPS over 712 this season. Like, if you want to be broad, like it's still not pretty, but you've got to win some of these. And they've lost a few of these already. I mean, we talked about it a lot between the four of us. They've had some winnable games, and that's not satisfying, but they have been in a lot of these games and they haven't won them. So that was the first time, at least for me, it was like, oh, they almost weren't supposed to win tonight. It's kind of the way I feel right now. Yeah. Like, they also could have won, obviously, but it was like the first time I felt like they stole one, like legitimately stole one with the way things had not gone right the whole game. And they had that feeling like it's going to happen another 20 times this year. You know, it's a long season, you would hope. But getting one like this that was on the brink a few different times and then falling behind in the 11th inning. Gave up a run in the 11th. They had to actively go out and score at least 1 run to stay alive, and they actually did it.
In some ways, we had watched this exact same game play out, 3 times, 4 times already? And until the 11th inning, the Braves were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position with 7 runners left on base.
Fitting.
We have literally watched this game a handful of times this season, and at least for one night. And it was really encouraging to see guys like Riley and Ozuna step up. I thought Sean and Steven said it perfectly on the podcast after Wednesday night's very frustrating loss. The Braves need more from their stars. And sure, maybe they're not getting a ton from Jared Kelenic or Brian De La Cruz or whoever's playing shortstop that night. But the players who the Braves really are going to lean on need to be better. Olsen has been very average. Riley had a pretty good night tonight. Not a bad series, quite honestly. But again, the Braves need more from Riley. We'll talk about Ozzie Albies and Michael Harris at some point. Those dudes look lost up there. I don't know what's happened to, I don't know.
We'll get into it.
yeah, lots to dissect, but at least for the start of the pod, keep it positive. That was a great game to win. The Braves really needed a game like this. Now they're going to have a crazy travel day. I think they're going to get down to Florida to play the Rays at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Yeah. I think the broadcast said that they had basically an escort waiting for them outside the ballpark to get them to the airport to fly down. Thankfully, it's a short flight. But yeah, just going to be a whirlwind, and hopefully they come out ready to go on Friday.
Absolutely. And we'll get into that and much more on the podcast. But yeah, weird vibes day, ends really late. I'm sure, in fact, I'm 100% sure a lot of Braves fans went to bed thinking they were probably going to wake up to a loss. Or people left the ballpark thinking that. It was a tie game in the rain delay. And you mentioned it earlier, but Steven, I believe, in a very funny way, said fan singular was enjoying the game at the end of the game in Truist Park. But yeah, a great vibes night, and we'll have plenty more to get to on the podcast, quick a deep dive on the game, etc. First, though, we're from our partners on the show. Stream now. You heard the man. So let's just dive into the game itself. And by the way, if you missed anything from Tuesday and Wednesday, we might reference those games, but there were podcasts on those games that we've already done. It wasn't us, but it was Sean Steven. Listen to those shows, etc. We'll do a deeper dive on today's game for obvious reasons. Ends up being a 4-2 win. We won't go any for it's not a playoff game. We won't go any for anything or anything like that. But I have to start with something that's very on brand for us to start with. There were 2 bunt attempts in this game. One of them was early, one of them was late. I actually didn't like the one that was early even more than the one that was late. What did you make of? I know it was Stuart Fairchild hitting, which is probably what happened, and part of this as well was what Michael Harris struggling and him bunting late in the game. Are the Braves bunting again, Scott? What's happening here? You remember wasn't there like a year plus when they didn't bunt at all? Like there was just 0 bunts forever, and now they're just bunting all the time again. What's going on here?
I believe they went the entire season and then laid down a bunt in like game 161 or something like that. What has happened to this team we love? They are bunting.
A lot. Why?
I understand a little bit the thought process bunting with Michael Harris in whatever inning that was. I'm delirious, Brad. It's very late.
Scott, by the way, Scott did not sleep very much last night, so that's even more fun for Scott. It's usually you would think Scott would be the one in the better sound of mind because he's 3 hours behind, and I would be the one dying right now at 1:30 in the morning. It's actually reversed today, which is funny, but here we are.
I have been up and kicking since about 3:45 a.m. So it's been a long day, Brad. What is sleep? We can sleep when we are dead.
That's correct.
But yeah, I mean, I guess Michael Harris was facing a lefty. He's struggled against lefties this season. I can maybe see it. You get the runner up, but at the same time, then you had the back end of the lineup coming up, and I don't know. In general, I am anti-bunt. I fully understand that tonight they started Stuart Fairchild, and Brian De La Cruz has done okay, but his numbers are not great. I fully get it, man. This lineup is supposed to have Ronald Acuna in it. It's supposed to have Jurickson Profar in it. It is supposed to be so much better than what it has been. But in general, I am not a fan of giving away outs when all you needed was a singular hit to win the game. Thankfully it didn't end up biting the Braves in the butt.
It did not. And the way that I put it, and I still would put it now, is like I actually understood the Harris bunt you referenced it because he's facing the lefty. Although I think there's actually a perception. I checked this tonight after that happened. People think that he has a bigger split than he actually has for his career. And even last season, by the way, Michael Harris had better numbers last year against lefties and righties. He's not some giant platoon split guy. I think that's kind of been lost. I saw a lot. Well, he's facing a lefty. What do you expect? I'm like, well, this year, yeah, so far it's been 12 games or whatever it's been. Anyway, it was more of the irony of if you told anyone with a pulse, even like a few months ago, much less a few years ago, that the Braves were going to have Michael Harris sack bunt with Nick Allen behind him, they would have thought you were going to be institutionalized. It just didn't. So, anyway, for another day, but I always wanted to bring that up because, by the way, just a little behind the scenes, it's 1:30 in the morning. We just almost called this podcast in the newest edition like Never Bunt or something. That was one of the names we talked about. Remember this?
Yeah.
Pre-foul territory. We were trying to figure out what we're going to do next. We were talking about Never Bunt as a podcast title.
Never Bunt.
We hate bunts.
Yeah, Never Bunt, an Atlanta Braves podcast. It was one of the runners-up to Hammer territory, but
yes, it was.
And it's a little tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, there are times where you do want to bunt. It makes sense, all that. We're not totally out of the Stone Age, but yeah. Thankfully, again, we can move on from the never-ending bunt decision because when those bunts were being placed in the game, of course, my mentions went nuts of, what are you talking about? This is the right move, or no, this is stupid, don't bunt. It's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I don't like bunting, but I do understand it more when you're not doing much. And this lineup that they currently have is not the same lineup that we would have thought they were going to have. So anyway, moving on. There were other mishaps too. We're not going to go through all of them, but you mentioned giving away outs. Ozzy gave an out away on the base paths tonight. Like there's a couple things that we're not trying to dwell on it, but they're still doing stuff that's maddening right now. Just want to at least acknowledge that on the podcast.
There was
go ahead.
Great moment. I think it was the 8th inning, and CJ Nitkowski in the booth. Jordan Romano comes into the game, and he goes, Romano's really been struggling. I'm surprised the Phillies are pitching him here against Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna, and Matt Olson. And what happens? But the 2, 3, 4 in the lineup, Riley grounds the ball weakly to third, and then there are back-to-back infield pop flies. And in some ways, that was kind of it. There was also a moment like 7 hours ago in the game when Matt Olson had a 14-pitch at bat.
Yep.
And it ended up being a sinker right down the middle of the plate that he should have hit 400 feet. Instead, he rolled over it and hit it right to the second baseman for an inning-ending double play. I tweeted it. That's somehow like the most fitting 2025 Atlanta Braves play imaginable. This was hardly a 10-0 everybody dance in the streets win.
No, it was definitely not. On a more positive note, because we're due for one of those now. You know who's really good, Scott? Spencer Schwellenbach.
Yeah, baby.
I actually didn't think he had his best stuff today. Is that fair to say?
Nope.
I don't think he was like incredible by his standards today, but that speaks to his standards, right? 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. The 1 run allowed was on a home run to, and I pulled this today, was to Kyle Schwarber, who's averaging 44 home runs per season in the last 3 years. So there's not really any great shame in allowing a home run to Kyle Schwarber in solo fashion. And Schwelly got through 6 innings with only 81 pitches thrown. So like he could have kept going, other than the rain delay made it impossible for him to keep pitching. But, obviously Marcell Ozuna is the star of the night for the walk-off. But before that, the star of the night was Schwellenbach for just holding things together and not having the Braves lose this game in regulation innings.
The way it's been the first couple weeks, Spencer Schwellenbach Day is far and away the best day. And you're right. He did not have his ultimate command. His stuff was not the crispest we have ever seen it, but the guy just battles. And there was a bizarre 4-pitch walk, and everybody was like, whoa, Spencer never does this. You mentioned the one blemish was the home run to Schwarber. That's going to happen. The guy's awesome, just hits tanks every single night, seemingly. But it speaks a lot to Schwellenbach that on nights where he does not have his A1 stuff against a very, very good team. And I wanted to make one quick point. The Braves have faced the Phillies. They have faced the Padres. They have faced the Dodgers. If you are looking for reasons to be positive moving forward, I promise you the Braves are not going to have many stretches the rest of the baseball season for the next 5.5 months where they are going to play 3 teams out of 4 series as difficult as the Phillies, Padres, and Dodgers. I mean, of those 3, 2 of them could be in the NLCS in September or in October. So schedule gets easier. And again, for Schwellenbach tonight, did his job, kept the Braves in the game. He's been 3 for 3 in great starts, and he just continues to impress.
You're 100% right about the schedule. And I know they played the Marlins too, but only twice. So 10 of the first 12 games have been against the absolute cream of the crop in Major League Baseball. So that is a reason to not panic as much. And just to give the number on Schwellenbach, a 0.45 ERA in his first 20 innings of work this year. I know you already gave him the Cy Young Award a few days ago. We'll just do it again now. Perhaps he's at least, I would say this, he's at least a candidate for Cy Young at some point, which you did say in the in our preseason efforts.
He is now 3rd in the betting odds. If you are a betting man, Brad, Schwellenbach is 3rd in the National League. At least he was as of a couple days ago to win the Cy Young. It'll be a fun storyline. God, I hope he stays healthy. He's just such a talented kid. It's just a meteoric rise and is genuinely one of the best pitchers in the National League. And let's hope this season could be a special one if they can get their big 3 healthy in the rotation.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 4-pitch walk, and we'll move on. But 19 strikeouts and 3 walks this season for Spencer. That's why it was so weird that he did that, because he just doesn't do that. He's not the biggest strikeout guy in the world, but he doesn't have to be when you don't walk anybody, which is very, very nice. Okay, so post 2.5 hour, 3 hour delay, right? A lot happened, but a lot didn't happen. The Braves had chances to score. Let's just mention this. Jarred Kelenic just had a 9 plate appearance stretch where he had 5 walks. What were the odds on that before that happened? It was probably not available at FanDuel or DraftKings, I would imagine. But 5 walks and 9 plate appearances for Jarred Kelenic, he doesn't. I mean, I know he used to walk more. People said that the other day. I get it. He had a better walk rate in Seattle. I understand that, but he has not walked much in Atlanta, to say the least. And now he's walking all the time.
Hey, we'll take it. It's funny. Our co-host Steven tweeted something similar tonight about Kelenic walking, and I couldn't believe I was asking it. But I mean, do you consider Kelenic at leadoff?
I saw you say that, and I wanted to punch you through the screen, and then I slowed down and I was like, not the craziest thing I've ever heard, because there aren't any great options, which we have discussed numerous times. Yeah. They don't have a leadoff hitter right now. They just don't have one. Yeah, I mean, against a righty, would it be insane to try? No, I would say no.
Try it out. We'll see. I mean, Michael Harris has a lot of talent, has a lot of skill, but he is just not a leadoff hitter. He is a power guy who needs to be in the middle of the order. Ozzy Albies has never been a leadoff guy. I was like half joking when I said Kelenic for leadoff, but hey.
Yeah, it's not. I probably wouldn't do it, but it's not the craziest thing I've ever heard after what I've seen recently.
Whether he's 1st or 4th or 9th, take the walks all day long. We know there's going to be a lot of swing and miss with Kelenic. He has always struck out a lot. But if he can get to a point where he has a high on base from the walks and then run into a home run every now and then, which we have seen, he has a lot of raw power, you take that all day long. I mean, that is so much more valuable than it seems like Kelenic sometimes just tries to shoot the ball the other way for a single. That's really not him. And when he had that great month of June last year, he was really hitting for power and he was really pulling the baseball, and then it went away. So good signs, more of it. This team desperately needs on base, and hopefully Kelenic, I mean, it seems like he's going to be out there for quite some time. it seems like we're at least weeks, if not a month away from Ronald Acuna Jr. coming back, and even more so for Profar. If Kelenic wants to finally figure some things out, then that would be huge for this team.
It really would be, and I gave the numbers earlier about how bad the lineup has been. It's still true, but there are little signs of life in certain guys. Riley tonight, Kelenic's taking walks. I just simply do not believe Michael Harris is this. I just don't. Maybe I'll be wrong. I just don't believe it, but he's not looked good so far, all those things. But you can find a little bit of optimism if you're looking for it. Scott, I do want to get into I'm not going to say curious like decisions, but just some interesting bullpen machinations tonight. And we'll do that in just a second after a word from our partners on the show.
FT fam, shout out to Homage. Make sure you check out the website and also use our code if you want a little 20% off if you're a first-time shopper. There are so many Major League looks in so many different ways that you can find on T-shirts. There's all kinds of pants. The starter jackets are fire this year, new and more improved, and just every team you're looking for, Kratz, they've got it for you.
I mean, I'm going to hit on the Phillies because they got the old school, the back in the day before I was born, my dad's old school P. But then the starter jacket with the maroon Phillies P on it. Oh, baby, get that, John, because you can wear it all year when it's cold and in the spring when it's warming up.
Yeah, go for it. Heavier, higher quality fill to take you from spring training all the way to the playoffs. We've got them. Check out the website again, homage.com. I love their Grateful Dead baseball line as well. And use the code Foul Territory for 20% off if you are a first-time shopper. Get after it, FT fam.
Okay, Scott, I teased it, but some bullpen talk here and some positives too, but some interesting stuff. So one thing is that Raisel Iglesias has not looked incredible to anyone, I don't think, this year. But I'm not even bringing that up for that reason. He pitched for the third consecutive day, which he basically never does. He did it once last year in the middle of the summer. But the Braves tended to shut him down and not have him be available the third day in a row last year. And here in mid-April, I was not expecting to see him 3 days in a row. What did you make of that other than to show urgency? Were they just like, all right, we're trying to win this thing, or what's going on here?
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise to see him tonight. I mean, Raisel is a competitor, and I know he's had some blow-ups this season. I'm sure there's no one on earth who wants to get back on track more than him.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he said, yeah, I'm good. I got an inning in me. Sometimes we've seen Raisel cover both the 9th and 10th innings. I think it was pretty clear they were not going to do 2 tonight. But, hey, credit to him. He looked better. I almost wonder if it's just more rust than anything. He barely pitched the first week of the season, and then he's immediately thrown into the highest of leverage. That's tough to do, especially for a guy who has a routine and has been doing it for a decade. He's clearly going to be down Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if the Braves don't pitch him on Saturday too, if they can avoid it. Of course, if it's a one-run game in the 9th, they probably have to go to Raisel again. But hopefully the bats are able to wake up and not have to lean so heavily on the bullpen, especially on Friday night after they were used so much on Thursday.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I wanted to get this bullpen stuff is that I just checked to make sure we didn't miss anything on Twitter. Maybe that's still happening. But is Pierce Johnson hurt, Scott? Because if he's not hurt, I don't know why he didn't pitch in this game. He definitely appeared to be unavailable for whatever reason, because I don't believe that Snit would have gone to Rafael Montero followed by Suarez. They had Montero make his Braves debut in a super high leverage spot, and then they used their worst reliever in the 11th inning in a tie game. So I'm assuming Pierce was unavailable for whatever reason. Maybe if you want to be super generous, they said, all right, we're using Raisel today, and we're not going to use Pierce tomorrow so Pierce can close. But that's some galaxy brain for me. Like I just don't know what's going on. I mean, we're all guessing. It's 2 a.m. But that was interesting to everyone. That was like, what's going on with Pierce Johnson? Where's he at right now?
Yeah, Pierce just hasn't pitched a bunch. And he did throw on Wednesday night. He got 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 singles. So maybe they didn't want to go to him. But before Wednesday, the last time he pitched was in Los Angeles. And I know there was an off day and there was the rain out and all that. But so far, they just haven't given him the ball a bunch. Angel De Los Santos has been a really nice find. He's done a nice job from the right side. Daysbell looks awesome. I mean, Daysbell's stuff is as good as anybody's in that bullpen right now. So I think, you have to hope that Pierce is fine. He had a few injuries last season too, but it'll be curious, especially if it's a close game on Friday. If Pierce Johnson doesn't pitch in a close game on Friday, I think I'll be even more concerned. but they maybe by default tonight or intentionally they did not want to go to him, knowing that tomorrow was going to be a tough game to navigate after everything tonight.
Yeah, and again, caveats, we went live soon, so we didn't watch Snit like I would have liked to normally watch Snit, but it's so late. So if he said something about that, we didn't hear it. Give us some forgiveness on that. We mentioned the name of Rafael Montero. You and I have not talked about Rafael Montero. It was discussed earlier this week on the podcast. The Braves traded for him. If you missed that, a quick reminder of that. He's a 34-year-old right-hander who was really, really, really good for 1 year in 2022 with the Astros. They won the World Series that year. He was awesome. He got a big deal from them and was almost immediately not very good again. The Braves traded for him this week. The Astros, he makes a lot of money, but the Astros are paying most of the salary. It's been reported it's going to be like $3 million-ish for the Braves this year, which they, as you smartly pointed out to even me, the Braves do have some extra money laying around from Jurickson Profar. Unfortunately, that's the one maybe small silver lining of that is that they save some of that money. But the metrics have not loved Montero recently. There is some stuff with his splitter apparently that was looking really good at times, but it's kind of a new pitch for him, or at least a new emphasis for him. We've seen him pitch once now for the Braves. He looked good tonight. I don't think he was hitting his spots necessarily, but he got a couple of big outs. What'd you make of his debut and like even that trade? Because it was like a bigger name guy, but not someone who's been pitching well for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's an interesting gamble. It's kind of been the theme for the Braves the last 2 months is just to accumulate as many relievers as you can and hope that a couple of them stick. Montero once upon a time was awesome, but now he's in his mid-30s and his changeup just wasn't cutting it anymore, and his fastball was getting pounded. I think big league hitters were just waiting on the fastball, and he had to make an adjustment. And for him to be able to pick up a splitter, the broadcast had a really cool side-by-side of how he throws the change versus how he throws the splitter. And it looked good. And it was just one appearance, but it was against the very top of Philadelphia's lineup with the ghost runner on second base. And I think Schwarber grounded out, and then he got a strikeout of Trey Turner, walked Bryce Harper, and then got a strikeout of Nick Castellanos, who struck out 5 times. Castellanos saves his every single hit for the playoffs, seemingly. But hey, big spot big spot regardless, really big spot to make your debut. And if the Braves are buying low, clearly Houston wanted to move on his expiring contract. And if he can be another right-handed arm in that bullpen, you take it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the Braves taking shots at the bullpen. We talked about endlessly about them not investing in the bullpen this winter, that no one loved that. And I know they got Kimbrel, we'll talk about a little bit later in the podcast. That's out there lingering as a potential. But Montero, they didn't have to wait on. Like, he was already in form. He pitched immediately, basically on arrival. I don't know if he's going to be good or not, but they at least have a plan, it seems like, for him. Have him throw more splitters, like just utilize what he can do. And first outing was positive. So there you go. And they trusted him. I mean, I think it was probably, again, out of necessity with Pierce Johnson seemingly unavailable, but they did try it and it worked in that spot. Suarez was less effective in the 11th. He just couldn't throw a strike. Basically, it didn't bite them because they win the game, but he allows a run. And you shouted out Sean Murphy in real time. I'll throw it to you. It could have been worse if not for Sean Murphy doing Sean Murphy stuff defensively.
Yeah, 2 phenomenal blocks by Murphy. Suarez clearly was overcooking his fastball, and 2 they were destined to be wild pitches. And Philadelphia would have scored at least 1 run, if not 2, based on how wild it was. And Murphy is really good back there. It's so good to have Murphy defensively. And we'll see on the bat. That is the one big question. But if there is one thing I can absolutely guarantee you 100%, it is that Sean Murphy's defense is elite. And it's been elite for years. He's great at receiving the ball and stealing strikes. Really good blocker. He is a brick wall back there, and usually pretty good at throwing out base runners. Although, dear God, Brad, we need to have a meeting with the pitching staff and say, guys, you have to look the runners back or they're going to steal on you. I think Steven had the number that opposing runners are like 22 of 23 on stolen bases this year.
I think it's like 19. It's 18 of 19, but similar. It's the same thing.
18
of 19. It's bad.
Give it 24 hours and they'll be 22 of 23.
Exactly.
It's wild. You got to do something. You have to step off. You have to throw the ball over to first base. Maybe it's a coaching thing, but I don't know. regardless, it is good to have Murphy back there, and hopefully the bat comes along too. He did have the home run the other night, had a couple of singles. Very important player for the team, especially while Acuna and Profar are both out.
For sure. And we'll see about the bullpen, but I've said it a million times. The bullpen has not been the issue this year, performance-wise. It's not been great, but it hasn't been the issue. It hasn't been.
It's been fine.
It's been, not great. Again, not great by any means, but they did their job tonight. Even today, I made this point on Twitter, I think. You can't expect to never give up a run in extra innings in Major League Baseball. With the way with the way the rule is, the run expectancy for an inning is pretty darn high with a runner on second base and no outs. Like, you can't just expect zeros. You got to score. And so giving up one run in 2 innings is like kind of what you're supposed to give up. It's not a big deal there. But again, shouts to Murphy for bailing that out a little bit, and they did it. So we already covered it, but we all know what happens in the bottom half of the 11th inning. Riley with a great at bat. I think CJ said this on the broadcast as well. You kind of know when else is going right when he's like, that was a right center field like missile to tie the game. Just a great swing, under control, like not over his skis at all. And then Marcell's Marcell. He's still it's been a year plus of this, but he's been the only guy hitting for 16 months? Whatever. How many months is it? 13
More
months.
than that. 2 years. I mean, it's incredible,
kinda.
Brad.
No, I'm talking about he's been the only guy hitting for 13 months.
Oh,
for him, for him, it's like 2.5 years now of him just doing this. But anything to add about the end? It was awesome. Play the horn, I guess, forever.
Play the horn so loud that everybody within 50 miles hears it. Somebody invested heavily in a horn this offseason. And hey, I mean, it would be pretty cool to hear that thing in like a playoff game with 40,000 people screaming and the pandemonium. But hey, for the 500 people who stuck around, awesome. It must have been a cool experience that you don't get to see a lot of baseball games with that few people in the stands at 1 a.m. and then to see a walk-off win, as we've talked, a frustrating game, but also a fun one. I mean, they won. They really needed to win. If they would have lost tonight on a bases loaded walk, I mean, you can imagine the vibe on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I almost forgot that's how they scored the run. It's in our notes. I almost forgot that's how they scored. It would have been a heck of a way to open this podcast. The Braves just lost on back-to-back walks in the 11th inning with their worst reliever on the mound. And
they were 1 strike away to the last 2 hitters that they ended up walking. I mean, it would have been another one for the books. But hey, the Braves, they figured out a way tonight at least to win the game.
They won a baseball game. Scott, is there anything you want to say about the game? Because if not, we have another order of business to talk about. There was a big news thing from Thursday. It's a positive news story. Is that okay with you if we go there?
Yes. Let's get some Spencer Strider into this podcast.
So today on the show, our segment coming up now, the Spotlight, is brought to you by Fatal Sports Network. You can now stream Braves games there. We'll talk more about that in a second. But that Spotlight is on Spencer Strider. All signs, and I mean all signs, point to this being his final rehab appearance. He pitched in Gwinnett on Thursday afternoon. Snicker, in Snicker fashion, did not fully say he's going to not pitch into Myers anymore, but everyone, including Snicker, even was kind of half smiling about it. He's coming up this week, almost certainly. 5 1/3 innings, struck out 13 on 90 pitches, and struck out his first 6 batters he faced. I mean, it's AAA. He should dominate down there, to be fair, but you can't do much more than he did today to be like, hey, guys, I'm ready. I'm ready. My name is Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
I'm a Cy Young candidate. So, one thing I do want to ask you. I didn't watch it all. I saw a lot of the clips. Everyone that was watching, people I trust, like Gore Vidak and people that I trust, were saying his changeup looked great today, which is a new rink. Not completely, but certainly if he's throwing that more and effectively, it's even more absurd because he's been this guy without having that pitch. And if that's a real weapon for him now, it would be kind of scary hours for everybody.
Man, your Spencer Strider has a really, really good changeup now to go with that fastball and that slider and even the curveball that he worked in last year. I mean, he's just going to be so dynamic. And maybe because Strider doesn't necessarily have the 101 mile an hour velocity left, or at least he's not going to have that in the tank to begin the season as he continues to build up strength in that elbow. Maybe he is going to lean on that changeup a little bit more to be effective and get through lineups multiple times. Of course, AAA, but man, I mean, 13 strikeouts is 13 strikeouts. And to do it on 90 pitches, he's really efficient. I mean, nobody squared him up. I think Strider gave up a double and then a couple of scattered singles, and that was it. Only 2 walks. So the command, really in all the starts, the command has been good too. And it's funny, when Strider had struck out 13, everyone was like, why isn't he pitching tonight in Atlanta? Why is he in the minor leagues still? But it's not a bad thing. He got up to 90 pitches, and I would be shocked if he is not starting for the big league Braves next week.
We did discuss that, you and I, on Sunday, like, hey, he might be ready, but the Braves tend to be a little bit cautious, which is fine. I think we agree that was fine, and that made sense to me. And yeah, I think the way he pitched today would have looked just fine on a major league mound. But all signs point to him being back. And somebody asked actually the show on Twitter today if they would maybe hold him back to debut at home, which is a week from today. Well, actually a week from Friday as we're listening to this podcast. I don't think so, only because that's a long time between outings and you want to kind of be on a schedule when you're ramping up, would be my only read. Does that make sense to you? Because they're going to be in Toronto when he would be on schedule to pitch, which they could still do. But what do you make of that?
I think through all of Spencer's rehab starts and spring appearances, it's been at least the normal rest, if not one extra day of rest.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not totally impossible, but it's a pretty tough road trip. And I think the Braves are going to want to keep Spencer on the normal schedule he's been on. So maybe, I guess they would see how he feels when he wakes up on Friday. But as long as that elbow feels okay, I would imagine they're going to have him out there. I think Wednesday is the probable day for him to go. We'll see. They could always throw a bullpen game or something like that if they want to be careful and give him an extra day. But at this point, man, it has been smooth sailing since the beginning of spring training. He looks good. The velocity is good. The command is good. The stuff has a lot of break and movement. Let's see what Strider can do. And let's all just cross our fingers and say a prayer that he's going to be okay, because just even the highlights today in the minors were just so much fun to watch.
Struck out 13 of 21 batters faced, and that's a pretty good way to sign off your minor league tenure if we had to guess on the podcast. All right, Scott, more to come in a second on the Rays series and a little bit of news. First, though, the more of an explainer on our partners at FanDuel Sports Network. You can now stream Braves games through FanDuel Sports Network, and if you use the promo code BASEBALL30, that's promo code BASEBALL30, you can start it off with a 30-day extended free trial at FanDuelSportsNetwork.com/packages. That is FanDuelSportsNetwork.com/packages. Promo code BASEBALL30. Offer expires 5/2/25, $19.99 a month after free trial. Cancel during free trial to avoid charges. Eligibility restrictions apply. Visit FanDuelSportsNetwork.com for details. Okay, Scott, before we get to the Rays series, 2 quick pieces of news, one of which we've already kind of talked about because it's kind of the same update, but it was another update on Ronald Acuna today that was similar to the last one. He's going to go to LA next week, it seems like, to be kind of his final clearance, essentially. He's going to see his doctor, his surgeon, get signed off on, and then ramp up from there. Timeline unchanged, seems like mid-May, maybe early May at the absolute earliest. Like, it's kind of a non-update, but also as long as it's not a bad update, I'm fine. Just be on schedule. We're good.
Oh man, if it's not a good update, I am not going to be fine. But I think we're going to get good news here. Let's hope. And let's say, I think somebody reported it'll be early in the week, so maybe Monday or Tuesday. I would imagine that Ronald will then really let it cut loose at the outfield, doing all of his drills, cutting on the base paths, running, full speed in the outfield. The things that you have to do to really ramp up. And then I'm guessing we're probably 2 weeks out from a rehab appearance. Although, because he really didn't play at all in the spring, and he hasn't done much other than take batting practice and some basic fielding practice so far, I'm guessing Ronald's going to get at least 2 weeks in the minor leagues, maybe even more than that. I don't know. I think the results will probably say if he's batting .450 after 2 weeks, it's probably Ronald Acuna Jr. time. But it's going to take a while for him to get his timing and his legs underneath him and all the things he's going to have to do to come up and be effective. And as we have seen, the Braves have been very, very, very cautious with Ronald. And I think once he really ramps up, the one thing we're just going to have to hold our breath on a little bit is that there isn't any serious soreness or tendonitis or anything like that in that knee.
Yeah, the big test, like you said, it's the cutting, and it's natural when you have a long-term injury like that. Like, running a straight line is not the same thing as running
Right.
side to side and, doing stuff that he's going to have to do playing the outfield. So that's the biggest thing, but we're not quite there yet. And we'll find out in the next few days if they're still on track, but all signs are good. Just hold your breath a little bit till you get the sign off there and moving forward. The other bit of quick news is Craig Kimbrell updated. I believe it was on Thursday. Still ramping up. He's not actually faced hitters yet, which surprises people. We did talk about when they signed them, like there are degrees to how ready guys are. There are some guys that are chilling and some guys that are maybe throwing. And Craig was not in camp with anybody. He was a true free agent, and it appears that he was not doing anything.
It seems like Craig Kimbrell was literally sitting on the couch when they signed him. He's been doing it for 15 years. He's made a lot of money. Kimbrell, I'm sure, it wouldn't surprise me if he said no to other teams. He might have been waiting for the Braves. And, the fact that he's still not facing hitters tells me it's probably going to be at least another month until he's probably with the big league team. And honestly, I don't think it's a guarantee anymore. When the Braves signed Kimbrell, I thought it was very likely because of the state of the bullpen, and we knew that some of those guys just weren't going to cut it. But they've added Montero. Even Suarez has not been a complete disaster. Ángel de los Santos has looked good. Daysbel Hernandez has looked good. And, if the Braves do call Kimbrell up, he's owed $2 million. That's not throwaway money. And for a team that it looks like is going to need to add at the trade deadline, while also probably wanting to stay under the luxury tax, $2 million is $2 million. So I don't think it's going to be a charity call-up. I think Kimbrell's going to have to look good. The stuff is going to have to look good. And that's probably something in 3 or 4 weeks we'll have a better idea of.
I think we agree. My only potential difference there is that I think he will get the benefit of the doubt. I think he has to look bad to not get called up, would be all I would say. Like, I think if he looks okay in the minors, he's coming up. That's my guess. I could be wrong. You could be right. I think the only thing that's maybe changed is that the bar is maybe a little bit higher. Like, yeah, that makes sense. I just don't think that, he is. I wonder how much of this is also the legacy thing, because he is a great Brave. Like, does that matter at all? Alex is pretty calculated. He's the one making the final decision, but is there any sentimentality there at all? Is there anything that's like relational about this at all? Or is he just a guy that they signed? Is he Craig Kimbrell in capital letters? Or is he that level of pitcher that he's been recently that they're trying to read? Because, look, there was some good for Kimbrell last year. There's also some really bad for Kimbrell last year. And he's an older guy. All that. Anyway, that'd be the only thing that I would say is, like, I don't know how low or how high the bar is. I think that he will get the benefit of the doubt. I just don't know how much. So we agree, though, he's not guaranteed a spot. He never was. And we said that even the day that he signed. He's never been – it's a minor league contract. It's a minor league contract. Whenever you do that, even if it's implied that the guy will probably come up, it's not a guarantee unless he's there. And he's got to – and because of what we just laughed about it, but he isn't facing hitters yet. He got signed 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
A month ago.
A full month ago? Like, that's actually kind of crazy. He hasn't faced a hitter yet. Like, yeah. I get it. You don't want to be crazy. Like, you want to rip him up slowly. And I'm sure the Braves knew. They weren't bamboozled by Kimbrell, I don't think. So it's like, they must have known this was going to happen. But when you are agreeing to that, you got to know, like, you're talking about May for him to pitch in a game that matters to you. Yeah. And that's, not a guarantee. Yeah. A lot could go wrong between now and May.
Well, that's the perfect lead in. The likelihood is that at some point in the next 4 to 6 weeks, one of the relievers is probably going to get hurt. That's the nature of the beast.
Or be terrible. Like, someone will blow up or whatever. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's why by the way, it's why you bring back Jesse Chavez on a minor league contract. So he's close by. That's why you trade for Rafael Montero just to see. Like, they are still taking shots at this thing. We wish they had invested more. But yeah, the likelihood of the same bullpen being the same bullpen all year is basically zero.
Yeah. If I had to bet you $5 live on the podcast, I would also say I think Kimbrell gets called up at some point. Why not? Yeah. He would have to be. And you know what? If they call Kimbrell up and he just gets the ball knocked out of the stadium 5 appearances in a row, then you're out.
Craig. No, yeah. I would hope that the leash is short. But we'll talk about that more when or if he comes up. We'll discuss this again, I'm sure. But that's the most recent update. And I think you and I had the same reaction, like, oh, hasn't faced a hitter yet. Interesting. All right, last thing off the podcast, because we've gone way too long. It's 2 a.m. The Braves go to Tampa Bay. We talked about this earlier, but the turnaround time is crazy here. Playing a night game, they got delayed. Like, they're not going to get into Tampa until 4 a.m, 3 a.m, something crazy. They play on Friday night. Tampa's playing at a spring training park. For those of you that don't remember this, they're playing at the Yankees spring facility, George Steinbrenner Field. It's apparently pretty friendly to power. The Angels hit 11 home runs in 3 days there this week.
Damn.
And that's the Angels. They're not like known for their bopper. I mean, Trout had 2 of them, but hey. But they're okay. The Rays are an okay team. They're supposed to be an okay team. They were projected to be like an 82-win team, something like that. They're always respectable. They do a great job with the resources that are very few, but they're not some great team either. And it's a Friday night game followed by afternoon stuff on Saturday and Sunday. So some more sleep for people like us, Scott. And the pitching matchups are now out. They weren't out earlier today. Now they are. Bryce Elder on the mound on Friday in the opener, because they have to have he's the fifth guy. I mean, I have the same reaction as that you just did. If people didn't see that on YouTube, Scott exhaled. Yes, but he's there against Taj Bradley. Saturday is Smith Shawver against Drew Rasmussen, and then Sunday is Chris Sale against Shane Baz, and the headliner of the weekend. Those are 2 good pitchers, obviously, and Sale hasn't been great lately, but he's still Chris Sale. So, yeah, I mean, not exactly a murderer's row on Friday and Saturday of starting pitching, but to be fair, Taj Bradley on the mound for the Rays, like, this is not a situation where the Braves are going to be giant underdogs on Friday, even with Elder on the mound.
Yeah, I mean, the Rays, the Tampa is always somehow in it, and they've gotten off to a little bit of a slow start. The pitching has not been anything special. The lineup's been fine. Tampa does have a couple of injuries, which is probably holding them back a bit. So maybe the Braves are catching a mini break there. But no matter what, the Rays, they're always prepared. They always have good scouting. They always have a good game plan. And I think if you're the Braves, even after the elation and happiness of winning on Thursday night, going into back-to-back games with Bryce Elder and AJ Smith-Shawver, I mean, I think you'd be thrilled if you can win 1 out of those 2 games.
Oh, yeah.
And then hopefully Chris Sale can get back on track on Sunday. And you know, at this point, it's going to take a little while for the Braves to dig out of this hole, but they just need to keep reeling off series victories. If they want to win 10 straight, awesome. Let's go win 10 in a row, boys. But if you can just take 2 out of 3, win 3 out of 5, you know, that kind of thing, you'll look up at the end of the month and you'll be back to 500, and then you start to get your reinforcements. You can tell yourself a story of how this is going to get better.
For sure. And, you know, I'm a believer in that in general. You just try to go win series. It's an old school thing, I think, to some degree. You know, Bob used to say that. Sticker says that too. Like, you just want to win. But it's true. You just want to stack series wins. And if you win enough of them, you're going to be on the right side of it at the end. This is not gospel, but I just looked at betting odds for the game on Friday because they're live, because we're so late at night here. The Braves are a slight underdog in the betting market on Friday. With Elder on the road, you'll kind of take that. To your point, I think there might be underdogs in both games. They're always small, and go 1-1 and hand it to Sale on Sunday. And I still believe Sale is going to be good. I know there was some consternation there, and he's not looked great, but I still believe in Chris Sale. Show it on Sunday, and we'll see. Scott, we've navigated the podcast. It was apparently live. People were commenting, so I assume people were actually being able to watch this live in real time. And Godspeed to all of you sickos at 2 a.m. Please, shouts to you. Anything to plug before we get out of here, Scott?
I'm ready to go to bed.
Scott's going to be in bed in like 30 seconds after this podcast signs off. Follow Scott on social media at Scott Coleman 55 for all kinds of Braves musings. Mostly Braves now for a while, because Arizona basketball's not happening for a little while now. So
yeah.
No Colts for a while. So it's going to be all Braves all the time. Maybe some movie stuff, knowing you. But follow Scott on social media. Follow me if you like to at BT Rowland. Follow our show, though, most importantly, at Hammer Territory. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and do us a solid. If you've made it this far, you probably already subscribed, but if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do that on whichever platform or platforms if you want to help the podcast. The best possible way is to download multiple times even. Like, click around. I'm not above asking for that. Apple, Spotify, Overcast, YouTube, ratings, reviews, all that fun stuff, and we'll have plenty more. I don't know what the plan is over the weekend, but as always, or at least as most of the time, we'll have a show Sunday evening to wrap up the Rays series. So stay tuned for that. Scott, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate you staying up late with everybody.
Can you imagine if we stayed up until 2 a.m. for a loss, Brad? It would have been an all-timer.
Well, the show would have been shorter.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure about that. And the audience would be a lot less of people watching live and probably after the fact as well. So we're grateful for a win because generally speaking, wins get more views and downloads, everybody. Not a huge rocket science thing there. People want to listen after wins. But hey, while we're here, if you are that person who only listens or downloads after the win, just smash download after the loss. You don't have to listen. Just a little download. Just a little click.
Yeah.
That's all.
Helps us out. What's the old skip carry? As long as you promise to patronize our sponsors, you're welcome to find something else to do with your night. Whether you listen to every second or, hey, if you just hit that download button and go about your day, we appreciate it all the same. And
We do.
hopefully we have a lot more podcasts like this, more winning podcasts. We finally got one for you, Brad. A win tonight, live for the whole nation.
I am no longer defeated. As
there
they
you
say.
go.
Not undefeated, but defeated. I was defeated until today, and now I'm not. So, no, thanks for everybody for being here. Thanks to Scott for being here. We appreciate the support always. We'll have a new show on Sunday. We'll see everybody next time.